Hey guys, today's video is a video about who we are and what we're doing and where we came from and where we're going. So if you don't know me, my name is Jessica and I am currently a travel nurse. I travel with my husband and my two daughters. We are from South Carolina and we've been traveling for about, I started travel nursing the end of 2016, so probably in mid 2016. So this summer will be my third year traveling. We didn't actually start traveling with the whole family until the beginning of 2017 when we got an RV and we went out west, and our first assignment was in Arizona. I've talked in other videos about how we started the traveling and kind of what prompted us to do that, but I haven't really talked much about where we were before we started traveling and just kind of some general stuff. So my husband and I this year we will be married for 17 years, and we actually started dating right before my 16th birthday. So we're looking at, I think, 22 years when I added all the years up the other day. I married the boy next door, which is kind of funny and almost embarrassing to tell, because usually when I talk about it, people are like, "Oh, that's so sweet." I think I pretty much followed him till he gave up, and we've been together ever since. So we have two children, two girls, a 13-year-old Jalen and a 10-year-old Juliet, and they're great kids. They're homeschooled. They've always been homeschooled, and actually homeschooling is something that I guess traveling would have been a lot more difficult had we not already been homeschooling our children, because that would have been a really huge change for them. Whereas now we travel, but not much has changed for them other than where their classroom is located. So I guess just kind of going back, we've lived in a couple of different homes, but we grew up and my husband's watching me, so it's hard for me to keep a straight face when he's watching me. We grew up in South Carolina. We went to school in South Carolina, and then we kind of had never left. And I am not downing that at all. That is not a bad thing at all, but it's kind of like we did what everybody else did, and we stayed where things were comfortable and where we knew things. And again, that's not a bad thing. Like, when you stay in one place, you build community. But for us, we didn't take any risks, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. So we got married in 2002. I was in the middle of nursing school, and while some people thought that was a really bad idea, it was actually quite helpful, because nursing school is not the easiest. I'm sure there are lots of other things that aren't the easiest, but I pretty much ate, slept nursing school. That was it. I worked, I went to nursing school, and that was it for a solid 2 years, if not more. But anyways, we got married when I was in the middle of nursing school, and I'd say we started our life out like normal couples do. I guess we're normal. Maybe we're not normal. We were really poor. We didn't have much. We had 2 broken down vehicles, and but I mean, we got by. We didn't have luxuries like cable. We had a cell phone. That was our only luxury. We just had this little place that we Jay had bought before we got married, and he had been fixing up, and we moved in there. It was a tiny little place, but it was our first home. But life started the way that I think it does for a lot of young couples, and I had this image in my head of what I hoped to achieve, and how life needed to be for me and him, and what it meant to be successful. And those things over the years have really changed drastically for me. It used to be, to me, in my mind, being successful was driving 2 brand new cars, having a brand new house, my children going to school in brand name clothing, and basically having everything they wanted in material wise. That line of thinking has changed for me drastically. It's really been a gradual change over the years, but I would say I had somewhat of an epiphany it's been like 10 years ago now. A relative of mine was living in a really small mobile home with her three stepchildren, 2 stepchildren, and two other children. So 6 people living in this very small 2-bedroom trailer. And I was pouring money out for I think she was 3 or 4 at the time, her birthday party, spending hundreds of dollars on an inflatable castle and an inflatable slide, just pouring out hundreds of dollars for my child's birthday party. And while I'm not saying that that's inherently wrong, it was kind of something that I felt in my spirit that just wasn't quite right. And I was really chasing after success and chasing after the wrong things. And it was really, I feel like, a turning point in my life. It was a change in my thinking. We moved a couple of times. We ended up buying my father-in-law's home, which was my husband's home growing up, and next door to my dad, because remember, I married the next door neighbor. And we spent several years like updating the home, changing out windows, replacing flooring, and those kinds of things, because it was a home from I want to say like 87, and they had done some updating, but obviously we wanted to make it our own. And really, that's for the next couple of years, probably 3 or 4 years, that's how we spent our weekends. Me working and him working on the house, and there were other things in there too. We had actually, before we moved into my father-in-law's house, we had bought property. That was in 2008, and then the market crashed, and then we couldn't sell our current home. And to make a long story short, we made some really poor financial decisions. We were young and we didn't know any better, but that property that we bought, we ended up paying on an interest-only loan for 5 years, until we were finally able to sell it at a loss. It makes me sick thinking about the money that went into a piece of property that we never actually got the chance to live on or build a house on like we had planned. But age has also taught me that life doesn't really go as planned, and plans change and expectations change, and that's okay. So I guess then comes in our period of traveling. And so, like I said, I am in June gonna hit the 3-year mark, because the first assignment I took was about 2.5 hours from home. I was there for 6 months, and then at that point we all began to travel together. So that kind of is where we are right now with our journey. My 13-year-old is, I say she's in the 8th grade. She says she's in the 9th grade. We let her skip a grade years ago. For homeschoolers, the grade level doesn't matter as much. She'll graduate high school a year earlier than she was supposed to, even if I call her 8th or 9th grade. But anyways, I am really struggling with the idea of giving her a somewhat normal high school experience, and so that's kind of where I am right now. I don't know. I think the kids enjoy traveling. I know that they've enjoyed the different places that we've gone to. I don't know if they enjoy it to the extent that my husband enjoy it. I don't know if they'll be able to appreciate it as children, because it's their norm. Maybe it's something they'll appreciate later in life. I'm not really sure, but I really have this longing to give them a somewhat normal high school experience. I want them to be involved in community. I want them to be able to, participate in missions and mission trips and things like that. And while we probably could do some of that traveling, it's just more difficult because every new place we go, we have to try to then plug ourselves in. And I think I've talked about this before. If not, 3 of our 4 family members are introverts. Don't get me wrong, I love people. I am a nurse. That's my profession. When I go to work, I put my nurse hat on, and I have no problem talking to people. I have no problem doing my job. But in a social situation, I'm not going to come up to you and talk to you unless I have something very specific to talk to you about. It's just my personality. It doesn't mean that I don't like the person. It doesn't mean that I don't want to get to know them. But I just have a really hard time, and sometimes establishing friendships is difficult for me because I'm not just going to go up out of the blue and shake your hand and start talking to you. Not unless I have to. So I say 3 of the 4 of us are that way. I'm probably the least introverted. Juliet is on the opposite end of the spectrum. I call her our token extrovert. She's really good at making friends. She can be a little shy at first, but she's definitely the most talkative and the most outgoing of us. Now, don't get me wrong. If you get me started, even if I don't know you, on a subject that I'm passionate about, that I want to share and that I enjoy, I could talk your ear off. So it's not to say that I can't or won't talk. It's just sometimes I'm socially awkward, and I think it's just part of my makeup. Okay, so that being said, I'm not quite sure where I was going with all of that. Okay, so our future plan. I have been, I don't want to say stalking YouTube videos. I guess it's not really stalking when you're just watching YouTube videos. Homesteading is something that my husband and I are very, very interested in. It's something that I've been interested in for a long time. It's just something that doesn't obviously mesh with traveling very well, because I'm very passionate and enjoy traveling as well. But like when we were at home, we owned chickens. We talked about getting goats. But we enjoyed traveling so much, and we went on trips wherever we could, that really getting more animals would be, make going anywhere difficult. Because obviously you've got to have somebody to take care of those animals and that kind of thing while you're gone. In the past it was easy. Like my nieces, I would get them to watch the chickens and feed them for me, and chickens are relatively low maintenance and that kind of thing. So they were easy. And then when we decided to go traveling, I gave the chickens away to a friend of mine. But now we're really getting back into that homesteading mindset. We really, it's a dream of ours to buy some land in western North Carolina and homestead. We want to build a house, and that's really our dream. In the pursuing of our dream, we want to remain debt-free, but we're not debt-free yet. We're working on our debt snowball, as according to Dave Ramsey. And so there's some debt we're trying to get out of the way before we actually embark on that dream of ours. So our plan currently is we're going to finish up our assignment here in West Virginia, and we're hopeful to get an assignment close enough to home to where we can go home frequently, but far enough away to still be considered a traveler. And we're hoping to get those things finished in our house, so that we can put it up for rent, and then start saving money to buy land in North Carolina. And so that's kind of the plan. I guess I say all of this to say, you know, when you're doing YouTube videos, people generally find their niche or their niche, however you want to say it. I would say my niche, my niche. I can't stand to say it niche. I'm sorry. I always say niche, neat. Now I can't even say it at all. My place in making videos is just encompasses life. I think as we do get closer and closer to homesteading, our videos will be probably about homesteading, but there's so many things that go in and go on in our lives that I think we can all share and get something from, and things that I feel passionate about don't really fit into one nice, neat category. You know, true, we're currently traveling right now, but we're paying down debt, and that doesn't leave a lot of left over to go do all the fun things that we've really enjoyed doing in the past. So we're kind of hanging around the apartment. You know, we're growing some vegetables in containers, and I'm working on this health journey. In the meantime, I'm reading homesteading books and you know, trying to hone those skills so that when the time does come, we'll be able to use those skills. And so I guess I'm saying all this to say that my videos are probably just going to be this whole mesh of things that encompass our life, the things that are going on in our life. And I don't know if people will be interested in that. I guess if they're interested in that, they'll follow, and if they're not, they won't. Worst case scenario is I just have a video diary of the things that have been going on in our life, which is okay too. I think that is all that I have to say right now. I'm sure this video is getting quite long, but I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you would please like and subscribe. And you guys